Hello all, this is Dr. Dave Maslach talking to you about reciprocity.com. The E is written with a 3, and in this particular video I'm going to talk to you about what's the difference between a professor and a research scientist. So if you don't know me, I'm Associate Professor of Innovation Strategy and Entrepreneurship, and I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There were so many people that helped me out that I wanted to pay the favor forward and help you out as much as I possibly can. All right, so in terms of the similarities between professors and research scientists, they're actually quite similar to a lot of different ways, right? So a research scientist probably will at least have a bachelor's and they will, so a bachelor's degree, and then they'll go work in either an industry or academia. It's going to be really tough if you have a bachelor's, and it's probably going to be something in the physical sciences. If you have a bachelor's in the physical sciences, you might become a sort of a research scientist, but if you're in the social sciences, you generally will need at least a master's or even a PhD degree to do that. It's just kind of what the norms are in the different areas, right? But in the physical sciences, it's going to be things that, so it's likely that you're going to need a master's or a PhD to become a research scientist, whether it's in industry or in academia. If you're in academia, the requirement is it's going to be generally that you have a doctorate. It's just the way that the things are, and it's just the way it is in academia, that they're looking for somebody that has a doctorate to work, maybe to run the lab, to work as somebody that is maybe doing experiments, that understands science, all those kind of things. And that's really what they're doing. And a research scientist generally is going to be just as well trained as a professor, or if they have a PhD, they're just as well trained, and they just chose to go a different route than going and becoming a professor. Sometimes you might become a research scientist because it is difficult to become a professor in the field. And so instead of getting an academic job, you get what is called getting money on, or getting soft money at a university, where you work in a lab. And that's where a lot of people will go into industry or go work at a university in those roles, because it is soft money. It's not tenure track money. Tenure jobs are actually really tough to get in a lot of fields, and there's just there's not a lot of those positions that are open. So if you go on the route to get your PhD and you get your doctorate, then it's likely that you'll become a research scientist in a lot of fields, just because it's so difficult to get those tenure track jobs. And so, in terms of what's the differences between them, and again, it's just because there's just not a lot of jobs out there that are tenure track at a university, and then you do become a professor. And so what you end up doing is that some of the research scientists may or may not have PhDs, but basically all professors that are tenure track, they're going to have PhDs. So if you're teaching track, then no, you don't need a PhD at a lot of places, and that's fine. And so that's kind of what the requirement is. The other thing is a difference is that professors are employed by a university, and research scientists may or may not be employed by universities. Generally, most of the jobs are going to be in industry if you're doing that kind of thing, right? So they're under soft funds, but in industry, you're considered not soft funds. So what do I mean by soft funds, by the way? And I'm sort of talking about that. It just basically means that you have a grant, the institute has a grant or something like that can give you funds. It's not guaranteed by the state, right? It's not guaranteed by the university. So it would be the state that would be ultimately paying the university in most countries, right? So maybe it's the country or the province or whatever it is that's going to be paying those funds. It's just not guaranteed every single year. And so that's why there's so few tenure track professor jobs, is that it's guaranteed to get paid that. and it's built into the contract, but with the state and the professors, right? Doesn't mean you can't get fired. It just means it's a guaranteed job that you have if it's there and you don't do things that are really goofy and screw up stuff. All right, so the other thing is that, a lot of what professors can do and the whole, what the roles are of a professor is to be able to explore things a little bit more freely than a research scientist. So if you're under research funds from somebody else, you probably have to do research in that direction. Doesn't mean you can't sort of navigate that and do things that you would like to do, but it still has to be sort of under the guise of what they would want. A professor is a little bit more self-directed in a lot of different ways. And that also is, reflects on what we have to do. A fourth thing, a difference, is that professors have to publish with what we're doing, however means that is, right? So publish your research that's kind of built into the tenure process. And so we have to write things and tell what we're doing with our scientific progress. You have to do that typically with a research scientist anyways, whether it's for the company or for a broader audience. In the biotech, a lot of research scientists will publish freely. Professors also have to teach, and they are typically more standardized with the roles that they have to do. So that is the big differences between being a professor and a research scientist. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Give me a thumbs up if you like this one. Do subscribe to the YouTube channel. Take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.